Hi guys, greetings from Bulgaria. I'm Anton, and today we are going to talk about a really interesting topic about e-commerce testing because now is the season for shopping, Black Friday, and everything. It's quite interesting. Let me share my screen. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the LambdaTest channel. Hit the ring button below so that you get notified about the awesome videos that are uploaded each week. And also you can check the resources below. You will find a link to the GitHub repo with all the examples that I'm going to show. And let's begin. Why the e-commerce testing and what is actually the e-commerce testing? The e-commerce testing is, everything in the retailing sector. I can share. Actually, we are going to automate this website here. It's like a shopping cart. Popular e-commerce websites are Amazon, AliExpress, and others. And it's really important. There are many aspects that you have to think about when you test them and when you automate them. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the important stuff. And also, I'm going to show you some of the features of the LambdaTest platform that can help you with your test automation efforts. So I'm going to use Java, JUnit. Also, there is a whole course about it on YouTube that we are keep publishing the videos, so you can check it. And also, you can get certified on the LambdaTest website. Get to the video, you will find the link or in the description below. And first, let's discuss some important test cases that you need to think about when we're automating e-commerce. First, in many websites, you need to automate, the registration, the login, the login functionality. Of course, we're going to, the most importantly, we're going to automate the purchasing process, and this will be one of the tests that we will automate. Also, many websites such as Amazon have search functionality, so you need to automate the search and the drill down by different categories, right? Later during the video, we are going to talk about localization testing, geolocation testing, and many others. Also, many websites, this is a really complex, domain, and you need to think about different filtering options. So we're going to filter this. You need to check whether the paging is working, etc. You need to carefully observe when you change, and their sites such as Amazon. We're going to talk about this, but depending on where you are, all of the labels will be displayed differently. Also, the currencies and the prices will be different. You need to automate, whether the prices are correct when you apply a discount, whether it's there and whether the total is, applied correctly, and all of the taxes. For example, here in Europe, we have a special tax called VAT, which is different based on the country where you are. So we need to make sure to check this VAT or sales tax that are applied, for example, United States, India, Australia, Canada, right? We need to check the responsiveness. What I mean by responsiveness, for example, if you use DevTools, here I can simulate different mobile devices. Also, in LambdaTest, you can use emulators to run the tests and check this. But yeah, we have to check whether everything is displayed and working correctly on different sizes. A little bit later, I'm going to show you how you can see this from the analytics websites. And of course, you need to make sure your website is have a good performance. We're going to talk about, for example, here from DevTools, you can simulate network, emulated it. However, if I'm going to show you how you can do this automatically using Selenium, and also simulate these different sizes of the browser. And of course, you need their special softwares for security testing. You need to make sure that basically you have HTTPS and run all kinds of security software testing to make sure that everything is okay. And now, there are many other details, but maybe these are the most important. Also, if we close the developer tools and the emulation, there are other aspects of when you test such websites. For example, we have dedicated pages for different products. So we need to check whether the information about the specific product is correct. For example, I don't know, this is not an advertisement, I'm just randomly clicking on something. But yeah, basically when you click on a specific product, you need to verify this specific product page, right? You need to check the different payment options like PayPal, credit cards, all others. And after we complete the purchase, like in our website here, after we log in, here we have a default user, so I'm going to log in. And later we are going to automate this. We need to check that the order was successfully created here. And depending on your system, you will have to verify whether PDF invoice was generated, whether a particular email was there, right? So yeah, another helpful tool, as I mentioned, is in order to test on particular browsers. This is really important, and LambdaTest can help you with this. Here, there are many different browsers with all of the different versions, operating systems, etc. But in order to figure out on which of these combinations you need to execute your tests, you can get information from your analytics website. No matter whether it's Yandex, Metrica, Google Analytics, and other analytics websites. Here, I installed like 2 days ago on my demo website, Demos ヴɪᴅᴇᴏ Solutions. This is basically just a dummy website that I automated for in one of my books. So I put here, I connected to Google Analytics to gather data. And one of the cool things here in Google Analytics is that under audiences, you can see here browser and operating system. And you can see the number of users for each particular operating system. Also, you can check here screen resolutions. So as I said, here you can pick in LambdaTest different screen resolutions, but also you can see for mobile users as well. What else? For now, I don't have much data because I installed it 2 days ago. Anyhow, with time here, there is data about the network usage of the users, whether it's 3G, 4G, 5G, right? And of course, we have mobile overview to see the different devices here. So if you are going to use real devices or emulators for this, so that you can see it. And as I said, it's important to see the languages because, as I said, for example, in Amazon, it's when, for example, if you open it from Germany, all of the labels will be in German right now. If you're in India, it will be in your native language, or United States, it will be English, right? So it's important for us to understand from where our users are. And when we click on location, I can see the different countries here with the number, and I can prioritize my tests whether they are important or not to open them in and test them on particular language. So watch out for this. Check your analytics. If you don't have access, ask your managers. And now let's go to the code. I created an empty folder here, an empty class where we're going to use JUnit 5. As I said, you can check the course on the LambdaTest channel about JUnit 5. And here in the POM, I already installed this JUnit Jupyter, which is JUnit 5, everything needed. And of course, Selenium, you can check the course there. You will find the link below in the resources. And we use this WebDriver Manager to download the specific drivers, right? And right now, I'm just using this on my local machine to start the Chrome browser. Let's see what we need to automate, and I'm going to show you the different steps. By the way, this website here, it's built by Microsoft, and it's hosted in Asia using Docker containers. It's cutting edge, the latest technologies, so you can find it on GitHub. So here my test, what we'll do, first we're going to log in as I showed you before. Let's see, here if we inspect, you will see that most of the fields we can find them. Here this is email type, and we have this ID input email. So we're going to type every time demo user Microsoft, and here for the password, we can find it again by ID, and here we have the login button. Probably we can find it just by tag button. And remember me, what is remember me? Basically, this is setting permanent cookie. The cookies are the way the browser remembers some specific information, like here, what is the order, whether when you open again the browser, whether you should be logging again or not. So let's automate this. First, in order not to lose time, I already have some of the code, and I will just explain it for you. So this is the login method. First, we have two parameters. Of course, you can watch later on. There will be a chapter about page objects in JUnit soon. So basically, the best way here is to use some design patterns to group the code. But for now, for simplicity, for you to understand, I'm going just to use plain Selenium here directly without any base classes, etc. So also I created two helper methods. After each test, we are closing the browser, and we are going to start it every time for each test. Also, we have two helper private methods here. The first one is using the WebDriver wait, the so-called font waits, where every time we're going to wait for the particular element to appear on the page. And then we use this special, in Selenium, we can execute JavaScript. With this simple JavaScript, we will scroll to the particular element. You can skip that if you will, but just for, when we run the tests to see on the video where we're clicking and what we are typing, this is really helpful. And also I created another helper method called validate inner text is, where we provide the element that we want to get the text from. As you will see, we are going to assert the total in the end of the flow, and then we provide the text. Why we do this and we don't use directly assertion method? Because here this will wait a bit until the text is displayed. Sometimes this is really helpful in situations where we have spinners and everything is asynchronous. with Angular, React, and other popular web technologies. And every time when we want to find an element, as you can see, I'm using this wait and find element method. Probably, if you watching my videos from before, you know that this is maybe not the best name, and we can improve it much further with many design patterns. But for now, for simplicity, I will use this one. So I'm first navigating to the login page. Then I'm finding the email input, the password input. As we discussed, we are finding them by ID. Then I'm typing both of the texts, and then I'm checking this Boolean parameter here, whether we want to check the remember me box. And then we are finding the login button and we are clicking. Then we are redirected back when we log in. Let me show you. When we log in, we are going to be redirected to the home page, which is the expected behavior. And then we want to filter by this tool. What I mean, for example, here to select .NET, then here t-shirt, and then click here the filter button. This is something really important, and all the users probably will do that, or will use the search. This is the search here in this simple shopping cart. If we inspect this tool, you will see that this is select HTML elements. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how we use it in Selenium. We can use this ID here. The same for the second one. We have catalog model, type filter, and this button here, probably we can find it by this class. I know that the class usually it's not the most stable locator. Probably you can find it in a different way. For now, for simplicity, when I search it here in the find, Control F, and type the class, we see that only a single element is returned, this button here. So I'm going to use this locator. And let me show you what I did for the filtered item. Again, I created another private method for this that I'm going to explain. I'm not going to lose your time with typing all of this. I created this private method called filter items, and we are providing the brand name, the first filter, and the item type, which is the second filter. And in order to, when we find this native select, in order to have a way to, choose the proper value there is a special class called select in Selenium. And we need to provide this. If we hover, you will see that it accepts, the constructor accepts web element. So we are providing here the first select that we are finding by ID. This is the so-called brand input or brand select, as you wish. And what I'm doing here in this if else, first I'm checking whether the brand name is null or empty. If it's null or empty, I'm going to choose all, which is the default option. Here, as you can see, this all. If I provide null or empty, else I use the special method select by visible text. This special select class have others like deselect all, by index, by value, by visible text. It has many other options to help you work with combo boxes and selects. So I'm going to select the brand name, and I'm basically doing the same for the second filter. And in the end, I'm just, as we discussed, by class name, I am finding the filter button and I'm clicking it. This is basically the logic. Then we need, after we have the filter, I want to have a method and a more complex selector, because every time here dynamically we will different items. And maybe the unique thing here is the name of the items, right? This span here, this information. So if I want, I'm going to create a new method called add item to cart. But in order to work, we need to first here, we can, with Control F, here I can start typing expats, right? And I can write something like this: span text with a special expat method, and I can mention the name. As you can see, this is this span here. But actually, we need to find the button up. And in order to do so, we can use expat access. If you don't know what expat access is, there is an awesome article on the LambdaTest blog about expat. Please check it out. You can find it in the descriptions below. And we can basically select the parent of this span, which is this div here, and we need to go basically to get its preceding elements. There is another special access called preceding/sibling, and the syntax here is double two dots. And here we need to select the input. Maybe I have a typo. Yeah, it's only one slash. And as you can see, we're selecting it. If I want, for example, to select this button here, as you can see, it's the three buttons are with the same name. But if we change the text here, we will probably, I haven't, here the text is, with uppercases, but actually we need to type it with a normal text. And as you can see now, we selected the third button with this Ｖɪᴅᴇᴏ. So now we can use this ヴɪᴅᴇᴏ that I showed you to create another method called add item to cart. We accept the item name, which is this t-shirt name or mug or whatever. Here I'm using string format, is the same ヴɪᴅᴇᴏ that we created before. And here in the format option, we are putting the name. Then I find the button and I click it. That's it. Next, when we click add to basket, we're going to the basket page, right? And here, usually we want to assert the total here. It will be different depending on which item have you choose. Of course, there are many scenarios where here maybe we'll apply some discounts, we'll have volume discounts based on the quantity and many others. And you want to verify them, or if you have two items, if you increase the quantity here. Also, on many of these different workflow pages, in e-commerce testing, we need to check, for example, and test whether the relevant items are displayed there, or extensions and something similar. Also, there are many business websites where we have shopping carts where you need to renew your items, to upgrade their plans. So you need to make sure to think about all of these scenarios. Anyhow, if we need to verify the total here, let's see how we can. As you can see, there isn't an ID for this section here. And what we can do, actually, we can probably select first this total section, and afterwards drill down and find the item below. In order to do so, again, I'm going to use expat access. I'm going to find a section where it has text equal to total. As you can see, we selected this one. Then we need to select its parent, which is this section. Vertical. And then we need to find the following sibling. And then we need to find the second section or section 2. In XPath, we start from index 1. And this is how we can find the total. And basically, we can use the next method, this validate inner text. This is how we proceed. And then we need to find the proceed to checkout button, which is basically, we can find it by value checkout. What I mean here is here, if we select it, as you can see, this is input submit, and we can write an XPath to get the value here. So this is what I did. And when we go to the checkout, this is something really important to do. Here we can create a method called complete order, for example, where we have one private method for filling this information here and another for filling the payment information. And then we're going to complete the purchase. As I said, many often, if you want to do this correctly and verify all the different scenarios with renewals and all of that, many often we have APIs for example, creating users, purchases, and then just verifying the accounts, and these are separate tests. It's not a good practice to create really long end-to-end tests. It's fine to have one or two, but when you have thousands of tests, then you need to have some kind of a arrangement API for arranging the test data. This is a really long topic, so I'm not going to talk in much details there. So without losing any time, I'm going to show you the code that I already created there. But first, let me show you. First, we are going to create about the different cards, credit cards. We are going to create enumeration called brand. And because we need to select it, its text, I'm going to create enumeration where we have the different types. I typed the names there where it's equal to the names that you see here, right? And next, I created a private string variable with getter and a constructor, and I am providing the text there. And later on, in our helper methods, we're going to provide this enumeration so that we reuse all of these strings. The next thing that I'm going to create is, instead of providing methods with so many parameters, the best practice is to create a model class where we wrap, for example, the checkout details, where, again, I will have private fields for the street, city, state, country, etc. I have the getters and a constructor. This is the constructor if you want to provide, your own data with different scenarios, and definitely you should do that. However, I have an empty constructor. Usually, maybe this is not the best practice here to couple the data and the model. However, for simplicity, right now I'm putting this default information in the empty constructor. Basically, when we create an empty with empty constructor, the checkout details, they will be already initialized with some data. And we'll do the same for the payment details. I will have a new class, one payment details, where again I will have two constructors and some getters with information about the card brand, which is the new enumeration that we already created: the card number, card holder name, expiration, month and year, and the code of the card. And again, in the empty constructor, we're providing some default information. Usually, you should check in some of the JUnit videos, we're talking about factory pattern. factory method, factory classes for initializing this data. This is the best approach. And this is what I talk about in my book about design patterns in chapter 10. It's a really long topic, and we don't have time right now to talk about it, but you need to be careful. And now in the tests, I already, as I said, created this complete order. And here it is. Basically, I have this complete purchase where I provide checkout details, the payment details, where I have two private methods for filling the two, and I click the submit button. Basically, it's nothing more than just finding the different inputs and using the same keys method to type them. That's it. But I wanted to show you that basically we are using these model classes to pass the data instead of having many parameters. And now, if I need to wrap, if I need to create here everything, we will have the following. We'll have the brand name, and for the brand name, I will use .NET. And for the second item type filter, we're going to type t-shirt, and the item name will be this one. And the third total will be 12. Then we proceed to checkout, then we complete the purchase again with the default information. This is fine. If you want, again, to check the performance of your website, there are different important things that you need to consider for the performance. But before the performance, let's discuss other things. For example, time zone. Time zone is really important, and I'm going to show you how you can use it in LambdaTest. I made two images, two screenshots of the same page right now. In Kindle, they have this thing called Kindle countdown deal, where you see this that the price goes up in 2 days and 22 hours, right? And this is loaded from United States. However, when I opened the same page in Australia, because of the time difference, this deal haven't yet begun. And this is why you see the regular price. This is really important to verify the different time zones. For example, this will also be the case right now with the Black Friday or with the Christmas time or Valentine's Day, etc. And in order to handle this, one of the ways that's basically I created two methods. One, I call this factory method for starting the browser. This is the simplest version where you're going to test in your own Chrome, Firefox, Opera, whatever, where you can create a numeration for this. It's fine. And here we put the different height and width. Why this is important for the resolution? Let me show you. For this website, as I said, when we open developer tools with F12, and when we go in mobile view, as you can see now on iPhone 6, 7, and 8 Plus, it's fine. But when we go to Galaxy S5, for example, as you can see, this is broken. So it's really important to see it. The same was happening in Firefox when I tested this. So it's important to test in different browsers and resolutions. If you want to check how different, if you want to emulate the time zones and all that in developer tools, you can go from the three dots here, and you can go to more tools, and you can go to sensors. And when you go to sensors, you can check here, you can override the location, for example, Tokyo, and as you can see, the language should be changed, the time zone as well. This is sometimes is working, sometimes it's not. This is why maybe the best way to check it is to use real proxies, like in LambdaTest you can do that. As you can see, I don't know, maybe it's a bug in Chrome, but for some reason, even when I load the website and I clear it out, it's still in German. Maybe it's some kind of a weird problem. But when you, again, if you need to check the performance, we have here, as I said, network throttling. This is really important. You can simulate 3G, 5G, etc. If I refresh it, you will see that it's loading more slowly, right? And also we can use here this White House tool to check about performance, best practices, SEO on mobile and desktop. And I usually, when I want to see it, I choose the different, network, and then I generate the report. As you can see, it's automatically checks on different screens and anything, and you will see a really long report. So this is the simplest way to test it manually. Now, if we want to test it in LambdaTest on different devices, different resolutions, you can go to LambdaTest capabilities generator. Here you'll find the different combinations between versions, resolutions, and anything. When you go to geolocations, this is the first thing here. You can change the country, and as you will see, there is a new option called geolocation. This is the way to basically LambdaTest will load the website from this real location. It won't be just emulated like in Chrome, which is partially working, which is really great. And also the power of LambdaTest platform is that they take care of the whole infrastructure thing, and we can run our tests in parallel. And in a minute, I'm going to show you how we can do a data-driven test, mentioning the different browser versions and everything, right? And from the advanced capabilities here, you can choose the time zone as well. There is this option time zone, and you can put it and you can check it. It's really awesome. And now, if we need to extend and create a new way here for testing this, I created another factory method, and I'm going to explain it. I created another factory method for initializing all LambdaTest stuff. Here, as you can observe, I have browser name, browser version, height, width, location code, which is this thing about the geolocation testing, the network type, and the time zone. And here, as you can see here, we need to put our user access key, build, if you want, platform, and these two are really important, right? The time zone and the geolocation. And if we want to make our test data-driven, here I can just change this from test. Again, there is a dedicated video about data-driven tests, so please check it. But here we are using this CSV source attribute where we're going to create our test data-driven like this. I'm providing basically where the separator comma will be used, and then it will put in each one of these parameters. And I'm using here, of course, where we can change it and to use the LambdaTest method instead of the other. But yeah, basically we provide the two filters, the item name, the expected price, etc. It's really awesome. And why it's really important to do, if we need to talk about a little bit more, not about the time zones, but actually about localization testing. What is the localization testing? As I said before, as the name indicates, localization makes the content in the UI adaptable to meet the specific locale or specific region's cultural and linguistic needs. As I said, and as you saw in the examples, for example, this is Korean. And it's important to check the translated text, keyboard usages, format and sequence of addresses, currencies. This is really important. Like 2 weeks ago, I had to automate something like this. Graphics and other visual elements aligned with the cultural locale, address and timing, alignment of data, left to right and right to left. And also, there is another type of testing called internationalization testing, unlike localization that focuses on a subset of a particular region or locale of users. It focuses on product features and capabilities that appeal to the global audience. Therefore, in these two different websites, different things will be shown. And actually, this happened to me this is another example. In AliExpress, they showed me only IoT things because I'm making my home smart, right? And for example, if my wife opens it, to her, it will show something different. To you, it will show something different based on your preferences. But you need to be careful about the support for multiple languages, separating resources, strings, UI elements from the implementation, number formats, and again, be careful about this left to right and right to left. And another thing about the geolocation testing, this is another website, test website. Especially when there are maps, they're really important to check and verify that they're working correctly, right? And again, from the things about the sensors that I showed you, you can simulate these coordinates. And again, if you use the geolocation option in LambdaTest, you can simulate this on real browsers and devices directly from this particular place, not just emulate them. I think this was it. I hope that this video about e-commerce testing was interesting for you and insightful, especially during the presence season. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. Also, as I said, you can find and download the full source code, and you can ask questions on GitHub as well. You can find me anytime on LinkedIn. Don't forget to check the LambdaTest blog. They're really awesome articles about localization, geolocation testing, and other types of testing that I mentioned. And don't forget to get your certification about JUnit. And there is a full JUnit tutorial on the LambdaTest blog and resources, so please check them out. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you soon in other videos, and take care.